Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're here today because we're jumping right into a fascinating deep dive into something that touches almost everyone at some point, yet operates completely behind the scenes. We're talking about large-scale real estate management. We're going to look at exactly what a typical month looks like in the life of a massive, bustling residential property.
It really all starts with one fundamental question. How do you actually run a waterfront residential tower from end to end without completely drowning in software? I mean, think about it. You've got leasing, sales, maintenance, marketing, and finance all happening simultaneously. Most companies try to patch together a dozen different apps and spreadsheets to handle this, which inevitably leads to lost data, missed rent, and honestly, massive headaches.
Okay, let's dive into this. The solution to all that chaos is actually beautifully simple. One platform to automate your entire operation. Today, we're exploring how a company called Coastal REMS manages their properties using Biznsbook. Biznsbook is a complete enterprise resource planning platform, an ERP, that replaces those fragmented, siloed apps with one unified system. We're going to see exactly how they use the real estate module to track units, people, leases, and money, with all of it connected seamlessly. To really wrap our heads around how this works, we need to ground our explainer in a tangible, real-world setting. Picture Coastal Towers residences, sitting right there on Ocean Drive in Miami Beach. It's a premium, high-stakes waterfront project managed by Coastal REMS. And this isn't just a standard apartment building, it's a dynamic mix. They've got units available for long-term lease, and they also have units being reserved by buyers off-plan. It is a highly complex, fast-moving environment.
All right, part one. Setting up the tower and defining the asset. Now, what's really interesting about this setup is how instantly the management team can see the building's exact mix of unit statuses. Inside Biznsbook, the team defines the tower itself, the floors, the blocks, and the status of every single apartment. So in just one glance, they know Unit 101 is vacant and ready to market, 102 is currently generating rent, 103 is actively secured by a buyer, and 104 is temporarily blocked off, perhaps for some quick maintenance. But, a physical unit is really only half the equation, right? Behind every single one of those doors is an owner who absolutely expects to get paid. Biznsbook securely ties those physical apartments directly to the legal ownership entities. Whether we're talking about Coastal Holdings LLC or individual Tower A investors, all their contact info, complex legal entity structures, and banking details are securely kept right next to the unit data. This is absolutely crucial for making sure the right people get the exact right payouts at the end of the month. Moving right along to Section 2, leads to leases and managing the pipeline. So let's trace the journey of a brand new inquiry. Let's say a prospect, we'll call her Rachel Noyan, makes a quick web inquiry. Because Biznsbook has a fully integrated CRM, Rachel enters the pipeline immediately. The sales and property teams aren't passing post-it notes back and forth or sending endless emails. They're sharing one single prospect trail. As Rachel moves from a new lead to a hot lead and finally converts to a full-fledged customer, her data flows effortlessly into a unit reservation. And, well, to get those leads in the first place, the whole platform essentially acts as a massive marketing engine. When a unit like 101 is marked vacant, Biznsbook pushes it seamlessly out to public rental listings. The rent price, the lease terms, and the tower's amenities are all published automatically to a public portal. That ensures maximum visibility, and the best part? Zero double data entry for the staff. Next up, Section 3, operations and move-ins, basically the day-to-day living and operating. I actually want to pause here for a second because this is a super vital distinction. Running a massive residential tower is absolutely not a warehouse business. We're not just moving boxes on a dusty shelf. Property operations means tracking physical units, living people, binding leases, and serious money tied to ownership. The software architecture has to be smart enough to adapt to human timelines and complex contracts, which is exactly what this system is built from the ground up to do. To really grasp that complexity, we have to look at the two totally distinct revenue paths Coastal REMS is handling at the exact same time. On one hand, you have tenant leases. Residents like Ana Rivera and Maya Chen have active leases with multi-month rent histories on file. If a lease somehow becomes overdue, staff can immediately chase the rent and log collections follow-ups. On the other hand, you have buyer bookings. These are active off-plan reservations holding units for buyers, which generate installment plans and track partial payments. Both paths live in perfect harmony on one unified dashboard. Let's move to and see how this builds right into the physical reality of moving in.
When a unit is finally ready, Coastal REMS triggers the move-in sequence. Step 1 is scheduling the official handover. Step 2 involves a meticulous physical inspection of the space. And Step 3 is documenting the snag list. Any of those minor defects or little touch-ups needed before the resident is fully settled. It's a highly structured workflow that guarantees quality control. And man, the operations get even more granular from there. Once a place is occupied, the system jumps in and allocates common areas, like specific parking spots, storage lockers, or gym access, right to that specific resident. Utility meters are connected, and utility charges automatically appear on the tenant's ledger. If the HVAC system breaks down in the middle of summer, an open maintenance request is tracked directly against that unit. Literally every moving part of building operations is fully accounted for.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy of Biznsbook. 1. Exactly one single system is tracking the sales leads, the unit statuses, the utility meters, and the maintenance requests. There are no data silos anywhere, which means there is no lost revenue from unbilled utilities or forgotten rent increases.
Which brings us to our final section: money, reports, and payouts, the financial finish.
So, the crucial point here is understanding this concept we call the snowball effect. Because all these modules are deeply integrated, one single operational action automatically cascades right into accounting. When a CRM lead finally converts, it generates a booking. That booking automatically creates an installment plan. And when a payment is made on that plan, it links directly to the accounting general ledger using automated double entry posting. Operations and finance are perfectly aligned, and no one even has to touch a spreadsheet.
All of this automated data flowing seamlessly together results in highly accurate, real-time reporting. The finance team at Coastal REMS relies heavily on reports like the rent roll, the aged receivables, to instantly see who's behind on payments, the installment status for buyers, and the overall property lifecycle. They are always looking at real, hard numbers generated directly from the daily operations of the building.
And at the end of the day, all of this leads to the true bottom line: getting the owners paid. Biznsbook takes the collected rent, subtracts any relevant fees or maintenance costs that were tracked in the system, and generates secure owner disbursements. Coastal Holdings LLC and all the investors get paid accurately and transparently for a given period, which ensures absolute trust in the management team. We've just seen how a massive, highly complex operation like Coastal Towers Residences is run completely smoothly, from the very first web inquiry all the way down to the final owner payout. So it leaves us with a pretty critical question to chew on. Are your fragmented software stacks holding back your property's true potential? When your CRM, your property management ops, and your accounting actually talk to each other, the chaos disappears and true efficiency begins. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep learning.